Fantasy Court is now in session. Please rise in respect for the Honorable Judge Zook.
This court is now in session. Greetings, jury, attorneys, observers, and esteemed guests. Trinity Fantasy Court meets for the purpose of considering whether literary and other fictional characters have been fairly judged by the public. While it bears some similarities to legal courts, its primary purpose is to create an environment for thoughtful arguments, and so some aspects of this court procedure have been modified to fit this goal. Our court today meets to consider the character of Queen Elsa from Disney's Frozen. Bailiff, please bring in the defendant. All right, I warn the audience to respect the decorum of fantasy court. While cheering and booing are welcome, please abstain from talking to each other during the proceedings. Bailiff, please read the charges.
You, Elsa of Arendelle, stand accused of the following charges: damage to property, health, and livelihood, assault with a deadly weapon, and treason. For the purpose of clarity, by damage to property, health, and livelihood, we mean damages from a magical summer ice storm in Arendelle that destroyed crops, buildings, and ships, and also resulted in illness and injury to many citizens and esteemed guests of Arendelle. By assault with a deadly weapon, we mean the assaults using ice magic against Princess Anna of Arendelle, Kristoff the Icemonger, and several members of Arendelle's royal guard. By treason, we mean the forsaking of your coronation oaths to faithfully serve the kingdom of Arendelle and to safeguard the well-being of our country and its people. How do you plead these charges?
I plead not guilty.
Very well. To you, the students who have been selected for your class's jury, you have been selected to hear this case and render a verdict on each of the 3 counts. After this trial, you will discuss the verdict in your respective dialogue classes and vote on her guilt or innocence. The results will be announced tomorrow morning in homeroom. For the sake of time, this fantasy court may contain previous testimony from other characters relevant to this story. Bailiff, you may now swear in the defendant.
Queen Elsa, do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. So solemnly swear.
Proceed.
Queen Elsa, it's my duty as prosecutor to question you about the events of last summer. Do you remember midsummer, June 24th of last year?
Yes, of course.
It was your coronation day, wasn't it?
Yes.
So what do you remember about the weather that day?
Well, I remember it was lovely, it was sunny, and it was a typical summer day.
The records show that that's true. Here's some pictures of the day confirming that it was a typically beautiful midsummer day, but the day didn't end that way. By evening, snow and ice fell and froze the castle as well as Arendelle Bay. Let the records show that the entire kingdom of Arendelle was frozen over, as well as Arendelle Bay itself. Here's some images to remind the jury. Queen Elsa, do you have anything to do with this freak snowstorm? Remember that you're under oath.
Yeah, yes, it was my magic, but I wasn't
The
trying.
witness can tell her side of the story later. It's clear there is no disputing that she directly caused this storm. Do you know what damage an unexpected ice storm can do in the middle of summer? Here are just a few examples from the prior testimony of this court. The kingdom's entire apple crop was ruined. The Arendelle youth explorers were camping in Pleasant Valley in only their summer lederhosen and were severely frostbitten. The kingdom's prized reindeer were caught on an ice floe, and many of them were lost. We were forced to give out all the palace's heirloom blankets. And finally, and sadly, Sven Jarlberger's prize goose, Mrs. Quackers, had just had a clutch of chicks to the delight of Princess Anna. But since the storm, no one has seen Mrs. Quackers or her chicks. Do you deny that all of this damage was due to the storm that you created?
Well, yeah, No, I don't know. I didn't know all those things had happened in the storm, but I am
see.
glad my people
Let's
at least
move
had
on.
the blankets.
Had it only been damage inflicted on Arundel and its people, that would have been bad enough. But unfortunately, Arundel Bay was filled with ships from neighboring kingdoms who were also here for your coronation. When the bay froze solid, it resulted in the partial or complete destruction of many of these ships. Do you remember meeting the Duke of Wesselton?
You mean Weaselton? Yes, I remember him.
They insist that it's pronounced Wesselton. Well, anyway, the Duke claims that their royal flagship, the Monkey Butt, was ruined beyond repair and is suing us at international court for damages. Other kingdoms are also sending us the bill for destruction of their property, and with the damages to our crops and livestock, we're hardly in a position to pay for it. Did you even consider how your magic would cause an international incident and cost us dearly?
I will do whatever I can do and make any amends I can to restore Arendel's good name and reputation among our neighbors.
Moving on to the second charge, assault, you had reason to believe that your powers could be dangerous or deadly, didn't you? When you were 8, there was this incident with your sister Anna, wasn't there? You struck her in the head with an ice blast that almost killed her, didn't you?
When I hit Anna, I was trying to save her from falling. It was an accident. We were so young.
On the evening of your coronation, many witnesses confirmed that you cast dangerous ice spikes at your own people. The Duke of Wesselton testified that he and his royal thugs were blown back by an ice blast, and his neck still hurts from it.
They were so hostile. They were coming at me. It was just self-defense. I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
So was Olaf the Snowman also hostile to you before you impaled him?
Olaf, I know it looks bad, but I didn't ever want to hurt anyone, and I think Olaf would tell you too. He just walked into that icicle on his own.
Walked into an icicle, right. You say your childhood assault on your sister was an accident, but when she came to visit you in your ice castle in the North Mountain, you fired another ice bolt at her, this time at her heart. Our court sketch artist captured the scene in these images. The jury can see her releasing the magic, and even the moment of her horror when she realized what she had done. Queen Elsa, after you fired an ice missile into Anna's heart, what steps did you take to try to save her?
I don't remember. It was all a blur. I was trying to protect her from me. I was trying to keep her safe from me and my powers. I didn't want to hurt her again.
Well, let me refresh your memory. You created a psychopathic ice monster to finish the job. You'll have your moment, sir. You'll have your moment.
I'll allow it.
To take out Anna and her guardian Kristoff as well. Submitted to the jury here are renderings of the ice monster attack on Anna and Kristoff. Is this the ice monster that you controlled?
I don't understand my powers. It's true that I created that monster to protect myself and to keep them away, but I had no control over him.
Your ice monster also attacked Prince Hans of the Southern Isles, along with a couple of the royal thugs from Wesselton when they came to rescue Princess Anna. After defeating your ice monster, they claim that you yourself assaulted them with your magic, including nearly piercing one of them through the neck with an icicle. In total, you've been charged with directly assaulting 6 people, as well as Olaf the Snowman. Do you deny these charges?
Yes, I deny them. That final incident, that was self-defense. That happened right after those men had shot a crossbow at me, and I barely saved myself. My power just lashed back at them, and I didn't know how to control it, but I did everything I could to keep those icicles from killing them.
In addition to damage to property and assault, you also have been charged with treason. Do you remember the oath that you took on your coronation day? An oath your father and his father swore before you?
Yes, of course. I promised to serve faithfully, to love justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before my people.
Do you also remember your pledge to safeguard the well-being and security of our people? Isn't it then treasonous to run away to the mountains, leaving your people helplessly icebound through a storm that you yourself created?
Well, I did the only thing I could do to safeguard them, and at great cost to myself. I banished myself from my own kingdom rather than take any chance that my powers could ever hurt anyone ever again.
What about the pledge to foster economic growth and prosperity and striving to improve the livelihoods of our citizens? Your ice storm destroyed our crops and produce. Wandering Oaken's trading post almost went out of business because of a drop in demand for their summer wear. Christoph's ice delivery business saw demand plummet, and the goods lost from ships capsizing in our bay put many of our traders out of business. Isn't this a betrayal of your vows?
When I fled, I didn't know what would happen to Arendelle. I thought my magic would come with me when I left and that they would all be safe. I didn't know. I didn't know.
I see. The prosecution rests, Your Honor.
Defense.
Thank you for being here, Your Highness. Jurors, how long have you known about your magical powers?
Well, ever since I can remember. I mean, I was a little girl when they first started to be.
Yeah. And how long were you forced to conceal those magical powers?
I've been concealing them since I was 8 years old, which is about 13 years now.
In all that time, what was the effect on your mental health to follow the way your father raised you, to conceal and not feel?
Well, honestly, it was pretty lonely. I felt so bound up. Just imagine always trying to keep everyone away and always have your powers hidden so that no one would ever find out. And I lost my best friend.
What pain. When do your magical powers most overwhelm you?
Well, the most obvious is when I'm scared or when I'm anxious.
So on that day of your coronation, after opening your home for the first time in forever, how were you feeling by the end of the ball?
I was so exhausted. I'd been holding it together for so long.
And when your sister Anna surprised you with an engagement to a relative stranger, how did that make you feel?
I was so angry and upset and sad. I love Anna, and I didn't want to see her hurt herself or marry this guy who turned out to be not a very good person anyway.
Well, what caused you to flee that castle later on in the evening?
Well, when Anna pulled off my glove at the coronation reception and my powers burst forth, I couldn't control it. The dukes were all yelling at me and screaming at me and calling me a monster and a sorcerer, and they started chasing me, and I had to leave.
Such a shame. I can hardly imagine what anyone else here would have felt like in that kind of a situation. As the Duke of Weaseltown chased you through the gate of your own castle, what was your frame of mind?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know that I had a frame of mind. I was just trying to get away and keep everyone else safe.
Well, tell us about that flight up North Mountain.
Have you ever been called names and terrified and exiled into the wild night alone without the hope of ever returning to see your family again or the place you love so? If so, then you can start to understand what that night was like.
And to be clear, in all of this loneliness and suffering, did you ever intend to hurt anyone?
No, of course not. My actions were all motivated by a desire to protect people and to keep them safe. I had no idea that monster would be so violent, and I had no clue that Arendelle would suffer from the icy blizzard if I left.
Thank you for your bravery today.
Does the defense rest?
The defense rests.
Prosecutor, you will now have an opportunity to cross-examine the defendant.
Queen Elsa, in your defense, you claimed that you didn't know when you fled Arendelle that your magic had left the kingdom snowbound. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Can you confirm that this is the ice palace in the North Mountain that was your residence when you fled?
Yes, that is.
I called the jury's attention to this image of the North Mountain as seen from the town square of Arendelle. It's clear that there is a direct line of sight between Arendelle and the peak of the North Mountain. In fact, here is the view of Arendelle from where the ice palace stood. Queen Elsa, couldn't you have seen that Arendelle was frozen over from your palace if you'd cared to look?
Well, I mean, I didn't think to look back. I was just so tired, and by the time I collapsed, I guess I didn't look.
Queen Elsa, you also testified that you fled in fear for your lack of control of your powers. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So how long exactly were you terrified before you started singing?
What do you mean?
You know, the acoustics from the North Mountains to Arendelle are quite incredible. After you left, everyone in town could hear you singing on top of that mountain. You have a very beautiful voice, and the tune was kind of catchy. My daughter and all of her friends have been singing it nonstop ever since. But your words were quite alarming. I mean, listen to this. You said that you tried everything to control your powers, but you sang, "It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through." What limits were you testing, Queen?
Well, all those years I fought and I tried everything in me to restrain my powers. And up on that mountain when I was alone, I felt I could finally just be myself, and I didn't have to try to constrain it all and hold it in. And I just let it go. And maybe it was unwise, but it was also thrilling because for the first time I was able to create beauty and not have to hide it.
So what about when you sang, "There's no right, no wrong, no rules for me, I'm free"? When did you decide that you were above the law?
I guess in that moment I was just feeling so free. I didn't really mean those words. I mean, I was singing and it rhymed, so I guess it kind of fit, but I don't know that I was thinking about it as I was singing.
I see. Well, you testified about how much you care for the people of Arendelle a few minutes ago, but then you sang quite loudly, "I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The snow never bothered me anyway." How do you square those statements with your image as a monarch who cares about her people?
I wasn't talking about the people of Arendelle. I was talking about the bullies and the dukes like the King of Westleton that chased me out of my own castle and made me keep my powers concealed. I realized I had given them power over me, and they called me a freak and a monster, and that's the storm I didn't have to endure anymore because it had no power over me there on that mountain.
You also testified that you tried as hard as you could to control your powers. Can you tell me what you tried and how you tried to learn how to control your powers? Did you go to your royal advisors and ask for advice?
Oh no, I couldn't. When I was 8 years old, my dad told me to conceal it. Don't let anyone know. Don't talk about it with anyone. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I couldn't get any help. I had to just stay in my room in my kingdom of isolation.
I understand that instruction to an 8-year-old, but did you think he meant to stay closed in your castle and not seek help forever? I mean, what was your plan after the coronation? Were you going to shut yourself off and leave Arendelle without a leader for the rest of your life?
I don't know. I guess I thought as I got older I'd be able to better control my powers, and it wouldn't be an issue.
Well, what about your sister? How much did you talk to? Was she able to help you?
No, Anna, I could never tell her even what happened. When she got hurt, our parents took us to see the trolls who knew something about this kind of magic, and they healed her, but they wiped her memory of the incident of my magic, and they specifically told me never to mention it again. It was torture for us both because as a result, I didn't know how to not talk to my best friend about this super important thing, so I just kept her away.
So let me get your explanation straight. Right. You went through years of torture being away from Anna, but still, the first day that you saw her, since the day that you closed the castle, you shot her with another ice bolt into the heart. I'm sure the jury's going to wrestle with that explanation. So to continue, it sounds like to you there were actually people in the kingdom that you could go to advice on this problem, these trolls that you mentioned. Didn't you go to them?
No, I didn't know where they were. My father had taken me to them when I was just a little girl.
Let me show you this exhibit, which is a map of the location of the troll village. The royal servants discovered this sitting out in the castle library after the king's death. Queen Elsa, whether you knew it or not, you could have easily found the trolls and consulted with them had you asked your staff for any help at all. Your Honor, the prosecution rests.
Defense, do you have any redirect of your witness?
One moment, Your Honor. I have a message for the counsel.
He's here? Right now? Your Honor, I have an urgent matter.
Counsel approach. Okay, all right. I will allow it. I have been informed that a surprise witness has appeared in court. Counsel. Defense had tried to get him to testify earlier, but he was on a remote beach in the Southlands and couldn't be reached until now. Bailiff, please bring in the witness.
Will you please state your name for the court?
Hi, everyone. I'm Olaf, and I like warm hugs.
Court is in session.
What's your relationship to Queen Elsa?
Queen Elsa, I love her. She made me years ago while playing with her sister.
Well, we're here because Queen Elsa is on trial for a number of serious charges. One is for the attacks by her ice monster on you, Princess Anna, and others on the North Mountain.
Ice monster? Oh, you mean Mr. Marshmallow. That's not her fault.
Why would you say that?
Well, you see, Mr. Marshmallow is like me. Once he was created, he was sentient and an autonomous being. No more under Elsa's control than you can control your children. Look at me. Would I want so badly to find a warm place in the sun if anyone else was controlling me?
That's a great point. Then why are you so different from Mr. Marshmallow?
Profound question. You see, I was made by both girls, Anna and Elsa. I was born from their love, and their love that's what made me who I am. I was made before the ice magic did its damage.
You mean when Anna was accidentally struck?
No, that was just a strike to her head. That didn't mean anything. I mean Queen Elsa. All those years alone in the castle with just her fear and the command not to feel, well, her heart became hard and small, like one of my eyes. When she remade me on the mountain, she got the form right. But when Anna arrived, her heart brought me to life. Mr. Marshmallow was made from Queen Elsa's fear, so his personality is very different from mine.
Fear. I see. That's very helpful. The Queen has also been charged with damage to Arendelle caused by her magic. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as we all know, magic can be unpredictable, hard to control, sometimes things break. But it's what someone does after things break that matter. When Elsa made it warm again, it melted me into a puddle, and she made things right by bringing me back and giving me my personal snow cloud that could take care of me. I'm sure she'll make things right with all the people of Arendelle.
It seems like she has. The Queen's also been charged with the serious crime of treason.
That can't be true. Queen Elsa is the nicest, warmest, gentlest person ever.
Well, I think there's just one more.
Oh, hold on. It's my ice phone buzzing. Oh my, look at the time. I have a tanning bed appointment I've got to get to. Nice talking with you, mister. Nice to see you, Queen Elsa.
Bye. Take care.
Judge, I didn't even get a chance to cross-examine the witness, Judge.
You heard him. He has a tanning bed appointment. Go ahead with your closing statements. Defense, You may now make your closing statement. Sorry, you're taking too long, prosecutor.
I have my methods. You see, I was hoping to have the chance to cross-examine Olaf. He seems like a nice fellow, but just because he claims to think independently from Elsa, it doesn't mean it's true. To prove it, I want to call a surprise witness of my own.
This is ridiculous.
I'll show you ridiculous.
Yes, counsel, short leash here.
I want to introduce Mr. Saki as an expert witness on sentient beings. Do you need to
Counsel.
Do you need to put Mr. Saki under oath? Do you need to read him his
are-
oaths?
What do we do?
Do you have an objection here?
I
Do you have an objection?
I do have
I did allow.
Please.
Mr. Olaf
Please.
you did get to testify him. I
Okay.
I will allow it. I will allow it.
Very well. Mr. Saki, I just have a couple quick questions for you. One is, are you sentient? Yes, sentience is what I do best. Okay, and we have a snowman who says that because he's sentient, that his creator isn't to blame for his actions. Do you think that's true? Well, everyone knows that talking snowmen always lie. Thank you, witness. I appreciate that very much. I think we've settled this matter to my satisfaction.
Are you prepared to do your closing?
Yes.
Counsel?
Yes, I am.
With fully
So-
dressed feet?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today you have heard many facts. Who caused damage, assaulted others, and fled their duties, as well as emotions and intentions. Fear of this, wishing that, intention or not intending things. The law, and this courtroom, is a world of facts, not emotions, not intentions. The Queen sounds very sincere, and I know you want to sympathize with her. But you need to depend on the facts if you want to faithfully carry out your duty as jurors. So let's review them. The first charge was for damage to property. It is a fact that crops, buildings, ships, health, and livelihoods of our people and our guests were damaged by the magical ice storm. And it is a fact that Queen Elsa caused that storm. She has claimed that it was out of her control, and we have no way to prove that that was true or not. But this court often hears defendants make the claim that they couldn't help themselves when committing a crime. I ask you, would you feel safe in a country that let every criminal who claimed it wasn't their fault get away free? Even if she didn't have control of her powers as she claimed, it's a fact that she knew beforehand that they were dangerous and beyond her control. Why on earth would she welcome so many of her citizens, as well as so many foreign dignitaries, to such a dangerous situation? Why not insist the coronation be private or postponed, or even trust her royal advisors with her secret so that they could advise her on a safer alternative? A queen should be held to a high standard of good judgment, and she has fallen short of this standard. I'm sorry. The second charge is the assault with a deadly weapon. It is a fact that Queen Elsa blasted her sister not once, but twice, and that the second time might have turned her to ice permanently. That she is able to create impaling spikes, freezing blasts, and violent ice creatures makes it indisputable that her powers can be deadly. While she may have disputed her motives or claimed things were out of her control, it is a fact that she assaulted Anna, Kristoff, Olaf, and others with these deadly powers. The third charge, and most serious, is treason. It was our wise King Egbert who said, "Heavy is the head that puts the crown on." Being a queen comes with heavy responsibilities, and it seems unfair that Elsa has been asked to bear them at such a young age. But God in his wisdom put her in this position. Arendelle has been fortunate to have a long line of good kings and queens, rulers who embrace their oath of service to us. We give them great power over us, but expect them to honor our faithfulness to them by being faithful to us. Sadly, it is a fact that when Queen Elsa was faced with a difficult situation, rather than trust her advisors or even her sisters, she chose to run away so that she could selfishly turn her back on her people and experience the thrill of testing the limits of her powers. It is a fact that she did not think to look into how Arendelle was faring in the wake of the ice storm. It is a fact that when her sister Anna came asking for help, she sent her away. And it is a fact that she broke her coronation oath within a day of taking it, and in doing so has committed treason. I know, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that it will be difficult for you to vote to convict. This trial has been hard on all of our hearts. but your duty is sacred. Do not be swayed by emotional arguments, but stand firm on the facts and vote guilty on all counts. Thank you.
Defense, you may now make your closing statement.
Judge, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, esteemed guests, prosecution. The Oxford English Dictionary defines intent as, are you sure? Your Honor, I believe that the defendant wants to speak on her own behalf. And
Proceed.
Madam Judge, members of the jury, and my beloved, beloved citizens of Arundel, I am Elsa, and I'm honored to stand before you as your queen. When I was a little girl and I realized I had special powers, I loved well and I lived well. But that day, when I hurt Anna trying to save her, I vowed that I would never let that happen again. Father impressed upon me the need to conceal, don't feel. And so the next 13 years of my life were dominated by isolation and hiding and gripping fear. Whatever love I had shriveled and froze my heart, but I didn't know it. Although now I can see, the trolls warned me that my greatest enemy would be fear. And now I wish that someone had shown me that it's only perfect love that casts out fear. Well, as coronation day approached, I felt gripping panic rise up inside me. Conceal, 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 conceal. And then Anna pulled off my glove and pressed me, and I snapped. And in that moment of panic, I exposed myself to everyone. How could I not flee when the dukes and the ambassadors came flying at me? Cursed, sorcerer, monster, get her! I fled because I had to leave, not only for myself, but also for the good of Arundel. I banished myself because I had just taken an oath to protect and serve and love my people. So as to those charges, assault with a deadly weapon, every hurt I inflicted was either an accident or self-defense. I didn't control that snow monster. Yes, he was born of my panic-filled magic, but he acted autonomously. Is that assault? The environmental and economic damage. I am devastated that the storm happened. Yes, it happened because of me, but I didn't even know about it. And I certainly didn't purposely cause it, and I have been working to make amends. And treason? Every single thing I did was an attempt to protect those I love, both my family and the people of Arundel. But, Your Honor, jury, I'm actually a new woman, a new queen. When my sister laid down her life for me, for someone who had pushed her out, kept her away, kept myself in isolation from her, I didn't even know that I needed her. But that moment, when she laid down her life for me, that moment changed everything. Anna's sacrifice for me changed everything. Her act of true love thawed my frozen heart. It thawed both our frozen hearts. And now I'm a new queen. Now I'm no longer frozen with fear. Love has changed me. And since those horrific scenes that the prosecutor showed earlier, I've provided food for my people. I've repaired almost all the damage from the ice storm. And now that I know where they are, I'll go ask the help from the trolls so that I'll never again make a magic mess due to my fear. And I am safeguarding the well-being of my country and its people. That girl who thought she had to be perfect is gone. here I stand, and I hope to stay.
Your queen. Members of the jury, this has been a most unusual trial. As the jury, you must do your best to discern between the demands of justice and the power of grace as you debate the charges argued here. Jurors are dismissed. The rest of the observers should move with haste to perform your assigned duties and join the jurors in your respective homerooms to help them deliberate. Jury results will be announced tomorrow morning. Court is dismissed. Thank you for your attention.
If you're not from the jury, please stay and grab chairs. Leave the lights on.
Thank you.